The Miami Hurricanes are ranked number 16 in the country and traveled to Raleigh, North Carolina to take on NC State as the Wolfpack will be looking for revenge with Miami winning the first meeting earlier this season. I am Christopher Stock, and we will preview Miami and NC State coming up next on Hurricanes Game Day Live. Today, the Hurricanes will take on one of the hottest teams in the ACC as the Wolfpack are coming off a stunning 24-point win over Duke and held on for a win at Virginia Tech despite playing without two starters. NC State has won 5 of 6 since losing to Miami 80-73 on December 10th, which has the Hurricanes on high alert.
We played them, back in 2001 or something like that. We played them a long time ago. Since that time, they have really elevated their game. They've made some adjustments. They played great against Duke and won. They played great against Virginia Tech and won on the road. They're three guards really. Morcell and Smith and Joyner are three of the top guards in the country at scoring the ball and finding each other and creating opportunities for their team.
They have two good guards on their team, and they have a lot of great players on. They have two great guards, and they have a lot of players that can play hard. So after we won against them, they've been scoring a lot and beating them good teams. So it's probably going to be a different game, but we're still going to play hard, and they're going to play hard, and they're going to give their best effort, and we're going to give our best effort.
Miami was down by 16 points in that game earlier this season to NC State. A number of the big players on both sides had big games. Jordan Miller for Miami, 25 points. Isaiah Wong, 22 points. Traquavion Smith had 19, a bunch of points early in the first half before Jarkel Joyner had a huge second half and finished with 26 points. But Miami prevailed at the Watsco Center. And NC State has a lot of good players. Miami's certainly aware of them from that first meeting. And they have a number of guys Miami's got to pay attention to, starting with Traquavion Smith, the ACC's leading scorer at 18.6 points per game, 4.8 assists. His assist numbers are already surpassed what he did last year. So he's distributing the ball, also knocking down a bunch of three-pointers. He's made at least 2 3-pointers in every game but one this season. Jarkel Joyner has been a surprise for the Wolfpack. They expected to get a good player, but I think he's exceeded expectations, and that's why I think NC State is one of these dangerous teams in the ACC. I think they can have a really strong second half, even though they're missing a couple guys. I think once they get their guys back, they'll be even more potent. So Casey Morcell, 46% from three-point range. He's been impressive. It's a career high for him. He's one of the top shooters in the ACC, and Miami definitely has to keep their eye on him. The Hurricanes themselves are coming off a win, 88-72 over Boston College on Wednesday night. Bounced back from the loss the week ago to Georgia Tech. A number of guys played well, including Harlond Beverly off the bench with a season-high 15 points. It was also a big performance for him because his scoring was the most since 2020. Harlond Beverly is coming off a game where he scored 15 points in the win over Boston College. It's the most points he has scored in a game since 2020. His play for the Hurricanes has been extremely valuable on both ends of the court. But here's Beverly on his performance against the Eagles.
I feel like I played well. He put me in good spots to do what I do best. My teammates helped me on the way as well. They hit shots off of my passes, so that always makes the passer look better. But it's all on them. They help me a lot. They give me a lot of confidence, so I appreciate that.
Miami head coach Jim Larranaga was extremely impressed with Beverly's performance in the game.
Terrific. I think it's the best game he's played since he's been here because he did it at both ends of the court.
Now, Beverly is averaging 10 minutes per game, and he's making those minutes count. He's shooting a career-high 47% from the floor and also shooting 36% from three, which is also a career high. Last year, he was limited to 4 games, was not able to participate with the team as they made their Sweet 16 run, and he's certainly glad to be on this team and back for his 4th season at the University of Miami. The first 2 years, he played a lot of games, but they weren't winning a lot, and he's certainly enjoying this season.
It feels good. Last year I didn't get to play, and they were a great team. So I just wanted to be a part of another great team like that. And with the way we're playing right now, it feels good just to be a part of it.
Certainly, Harlond Beverly is going to be a key for the Hurricanes in this one, as he was last game against NC State. And coaches showed a lot of patience with him. And former Miami Hurricanes guard and a guy that I've been speaking with quite a bit on the Hurricanes during our weekly shows is Justin Heller. And Justin is reminded of what Harland's been able to do. It reminds him of some other guys.
One of the things that I thought was pretty interesting that I wanted to talk about is how we're seeing another season of Coach Larranaga's patience and development of some of the players that you would least expect. So we saw it last night, so it's fresh on our minds, but Harlond Beverly, a guy who has struggled really to get minutes, comes in, gets 20 minutes, has 15 points, I believe 5 rebounds, 2 steals, really helped us with some minutes and some points off the bench. And it made me think back, since Coach L has been at Miami, of all the different guys that he has brought in, whether it's through a transfer or extended their time with redshirt seasons, and all the success he's had. So I think back in my years, Julian Gamble, 6-year senior, who wasn't really that valuable his first 5 years. It was Coach L's first year. He said he wanted him back. He came back, and Julian panned out to be one of the core pieces for that 2013 team that won the ACC championships and made it to the Sweet 16. Then you look back at last year, Sam Wardenberg, similar situation, 6th year, comes in and really steps his game up. Again, a core piece on that team that went to the Elite Eight last year and started this nice stretch that we're still seeing into this season. And then you have Harlond Beverly, who came in freshman year, played a lot of games, played a lot of minutes. Sophomore season, got cut early with injury. The next season, which was last year, totally missed it. Injuries again, and then comes back in. A very tough team to try and get minutes on. I mean, we've got a lot of players playing at a high level. And any time that he's given a chance, he's really made the most of it. I forget the game early on this year. He hit those 3 threes, and there were some timely threes as well. And then again, we saw it last night. So he's getting more minutes. Coach is starting to trust him, and he's making the most of it. And I really look at that, and it makes me appreciate Coach L even more, because these are guys that most coaches would probably say, okay, time's up, on to the next. Let's get a freshman in there, start developing a new guy. And instead, he continues to believe in his guys and his seniors, give them the opportunities, help them continue to grow. And in the end, it always pans out for him and for the team. So thought that was something interesting to look back on as we are watching it unfold yet again with Harlond, and a huge game from him.
Great insight from Justin there, who's been around the program, obviously, as a former Hurricane, knows what it's like to play for Larranaga, and he has seen up close about how Larranaga coaches and how that benefits all of the players. And to me, with this Miami team, its strength as the number 16 team in the country, 14-2 overall, 5-1 in the ACC. Its strength is how everybody is fitting in together offensively, in particular, with their roles. And we're seeing some guys productive off the bench. Bensley Joseph, Harlond Beverly, mentioned earlier. Also, I think they're still going to get some production from Anthony Walker. I think AJ Casey will be able to give him some minutes. We'll get more into Casey a little bit later in the show. But I think Miami, again, its strengths are what it's able to do with its balance. They've got the inside force with Omir. I think Nigel Pack is going to come around with his shooting percent. He's at 35% from 3. And I think it's obviously lower than it was a year ago when he was over 40, just like he was his first season at K-State. But I think it's going to come back around. He only needs a few shots to go in. For me, I think as long as he gets into some rhythm, and if teams leave him open, I think he's going to knock down threes. I think today would be a good place for him to get it going. But, with the Miami Hurricanes and how they've been playing this year, I think it all starts with Isaiah Wong. He's been their catalyst. He's been their top player. He's averaging 16.7 points per game, and I really like what he's been able to do for this team. And more on Isaiah and his impact with this team.
One of the things that I thought
Isaiah Wong is having another very impressive season for the Miami Hurricanes. He's an ACC Player of the Year candidate. He's already won 2 ACC Player of the Week honors. He's been leading Miami in scoring, but also helping other players get the most out of them.
As you see, I got a top 10 scorer on my team. So when you have players like that surrounding you, it always gives you just that extra little swag when you're out on the court. So I really enjoy playing with them.
Wong is averaging 16.7 points per game, and he's shooting a career-high 45.4% from the floor, 33% from three. He's doing a great job scoring the ball at an efficient rate, over 80% from the free throw line as well, which is a key part of his game, getting to the line. So his scoring has been very important for the Hurricanes. It's going to be very important in this game against NC State, who features the ACC leading scorer in Terquavion Smith. He put up 19 points against Miami in the first one. Wong had 22. It should be an outstanding matchup between two of the ACC's top scorers. But scoring is not the only thing that Isaiah's been doing well this year. He's averaging career highs in assists with 4.2 and steals per game at 1.8. Those two areas have been very impressive, very helpful for the Hurricanes. Also, 4.5 rebounds per game should not be overlooked as well. Isaiah's doing a lot of different things. He's also scoring the ball at a very consistent rate over his career. This will be the third season he's averaged at least 15 points per game in a season. Since the restart of the program in 1985, there's only been 4 players to have done that. Only one Hurricane under Larranaga has done that. Wong scored 22 points in Miami's win over Boston College. It was a great bounce back effort for him after scoring 6 points in the loss to Georgia Tech. It's not a surprise, as in the last 3 years, Wong has scored over 20 points per game in games coming back from a single-digit performance. So here's Wong on his performance and what he thought of the Georgia Tech game and how he wanted to bounce back.
It kind of bothered me just with the Georgia Tech game, didn't make a lot of shots, but coming into this game, I just wanted to stay focused and just get as much shots up during these couple of days when we had the break. But today I felt good, and I feel a lot better coming into this game.
Wong certainly turned up his play late in the season last year. In particular, had some very good performances in the NCAA tournament during the Hurricane Sweet 16 run. He's looking to guide this team once again as they are in the bulk of the ACC competition now. 6 games in, 14 to go. And Jim Larranaga has sang the praises of Wong for a long time now. And here's what he said after the Boston College win about how he played in the game.
Great. You know, he's a tremendous player. And he plays so hard and so well at both ends of the court. He scores, hits three-pointers, he drives to the basket, makes free throws. You know, that's what good players do, and he's a really, really good player.
I think it's going to be an exciting game for Wong and Smith. I'm really looking forward to that individual matchup. I expect NBA scouts to be at PNC Arena, as Smith is right now, according to NBADraft.net. Smith is projected as a first rounder. Wong is second rounder. 2 of the best guards in the ACC, 2 of the best guards in the country are squaring off, and I think it's going to be very interesting on an individual level to see how they go back and forth with each other. I expect them to guard one another, certainly at times today. So that's going to be a big matchup for Isaiah on both ends of the court, and definitely paying attention with Terquavion, who will put up shots deep, and Isaiah's got to be making sure he's get past that 3-point line, because again, Smith will pull from deep. So you got to be ready whenever he crosses court. But Isaiah certainly has been a key for Miami. He's had some really big games this year, and Smith is certainly coming off a good stretch as well. Both players want to get to the NBA. There's a former Hurricane that we would like to check in with next that is currently in the NBA. In our alumni spotlight, let's take a look at former Hurricane Bruce Brown, who is in his first season with the Denver Nuggets. At 29-13, they have the best record in the Western Conference. On Friday night, they defeated the Los Angeles Clippers 115-103 for their 5th straight win. Brown had 9 points, 3 rebounds, and 4 assists in the game. On the season, Brown is averaging a career high 10.9 points per game to go with 4.1 rebounds and 3.8 assists, as well as playing really good defense for the Nuggets. Earlier this month, Brown scored a season-high 21 points in a 123-111 win over the Boston Celtics, which is Brown's hometown team. He definitely enjoyed that matchup, and he knew he had friends and family watching the game. Here's Brown on facing the Celtics.
Yeah, they're a great team, and I definitely look forward to them, just me being there, me growing up a Celtics fan. I always try to put on, and I know my family's watching, so I definitely look forward to it.
I've seen a Red Sox tattoo, I think, on your arm. Do you have any
Yes.
Celtics ink?
No. So my plan was to get like Boston spelled out, but I just entered the league, but the O is gonna be the Celtics, but I was like, I can't do that. So no Celtics Inc.
Brown made 4 of 6 behind the three-point line in the game against the Celtics, and he's hoping more teams don't guard him from three-point land, even though he's shooting 39.9% from three.
I hope they don't. Just keep closing short. I'm good with that.
So certainly Bruce Brown was a key part of the Hurricanes' past, but let's take a look at the future as well. The Miami Hurricanes signed one recruit in the 2023 recruiting class in November, and that's center Michael Nwoko, who earlier this week got a rankings boost from 24/7 Sports. He is now the number 125th overall prospect in the country. It's up 12 spots from where he was before. He's a top 20 center in the country, also by 24/7 Sports, and the composite rankings has him as a 4-star recruit. He's a guy with a lot of athleticism. As you see here with Team Canada, he impressed particularly around the rim. He finishes with force, he slams home dunks, and he had a really good performance at this event. In the third place game against Argentina, he scored 20 points to help lead Team Canada to a bronze medal. Nwoko is a guy that coaches are excited about his future. A guy that can maybe improve his jump shot. Also a guy that can defend at the next level. The Hurricanes are glad to have Nwoko join the class, and Miami will look to add new players to the recruiting class or transfers for the 2023-24 season. I want to thank everybody for jumping in here on the chat. Who's watching the live stream, definitely drop in the comments. Let me know what you think of your game, of this game, from a Miami and NC State standpoint. I will take a break here from Hurricanes Game Day Live. Be back in a bit with my keys to the game, as well as a look at the starting lineups. Signed one recruit in the 2023 recruiting class in November, and NC State is coming off an impressive 73-69 win at Virginia Tech. A strong first half, held on in the second half, and it was a really impressive performance from a team that struggled at times in the game. But NC State is on a roll after that 24-point win against Duke. They're 3-3 now in the ACC, trying to get above 500. You know, Kevin Keats has his group really playing well. Again, 2 starters out for NC State, and they're still playing well. And I think getting over the hump would be big on an NC State standpoint. And Miami is currently in second place in the ACC, and certainly they'd like to stay up at the top and keep in pace with Clemson, who has not been beaten yet. So playing on the road is difficult. You know, in the ACC, 71% of the home teams have won. They're 32-13. ACC teams at this point. Miami's 2-1 on the road. They're underdogs in this one, 3.5-point underdogs. Miami is doing well on the road, but other ACC teams have struggled. 7 teams are 0-3 in the ACC, just to show you how difficult it is to win on the ACC. This environment will be tough, but NC State is playing well. And let's hear what Coach Kevin Keats had to say about the team on their last win?
I think we just, we're making it tough to score. And, our guys are communicating and we're talking. When I looked at the halftime score, it was based on all of our defense. And, we worked a lot in the last couple of weeks since our Clemson game, improvement on our defense. And I'm proud of some guys. I mean, they're talking. We're developing a winning team, and the way they're playing is really good for us.
This is a big game for Miami. Looking at the ACC standings, once again, Miami in second place. Their net rating is a top 50 in the country, right around that 40 mark. And this is going to be most likely a quad one game for Miami. Miami's done well in quad one games this year, according to that net ranking. 5-1 so far. Only Purdue has more quad one wins in the country, so Miami has a chance to get another one here. And the way it works is it depends on how the schedule plays out, but certainly it's a big game for Miami. Again, a tough game on the road to stay in the ACC at the top, but also to build that NCAA resume. Once again, they've done well in these types of games. I think they've had some good non-conference wins, and they can just stack that with some good conference wins. Today would be one of them. Both teams are top 40 in the country, according to KenPom. So a lot of metrics in this one favor certainly a very good, high, valuable, entertaining college basketball game. Let's go to the starting lineups. First with NC State. It's the same as they've been going these last 5 games, dealing with some injuries, but Jarkel Joyner at the point, Terquavion Smith, as I mentioned, the profile guy to watch. Casey Morsell can knock down threes and definitely needs to be accounted for, and definitely paying attention to him as well. Greg Gant at the 4th spot does a lot of the little things for the Wolfpack, and certainly he's a valuable piece on what they do, even though he doesn't score very much. And same thing with Ebenezer Duwana. He does a lot of things inside the paint. At 6'11", he could present some height problems for Miami, but Noor Chadomir certainly has to do his best to take account for that. And for the Miami Hurricanes, they're going to start the same starting 5 they've had pretty much the entire season, with Pack, Wong, Poplar, Miller, and Omir. These 5 have started every game together except for one when Pack missed a game. So it's important for Miami to be well-rounded. All 5 of these guys having productive games. Coach Larranaga has mentioned their goal is 15 points per position. That includes the starter as well as the backup. But certainly a guy like Wong can go off for more. He's averaging more than 15. I think he's got to have another big performance for the Hurricanes, get close to that 20-point mark. And Jordan Miller, he's another key guy, 25 points in the last one. And certainly he's impressive. And Kevin Keats knows all about what Miami's been able to do against them, and he's been impressed. So let's hear about what Keats has to say about facing the Miami Hurricanes.
Well, I mean, they're talented. I mean, they're really good. I mean, obviously the backcourt is really solid. I thought when you look at that game, I thought we had a really, really good first half where we scored the basketball, and late in the game, I thought they hunkered down, played some great defense on us. I thought the 2 guys, and I don't think they get mentioned. I know, the 2 guys that really played well against us was Wong. Wong obviously gets a lot of talk, but Isaiah Miller was really good. He stepped up and made a lot of big plays against us, and we didn't do a good job of guarding those guys late in the game. And but it's a good team, and look, every game that you play, even though it's the second time around, believe it or not, every game takes its own identity, and so it'll probably be a complete different game than it was the first time around.
Certainly a big game once again for both teams. I think it's a very pivotal game as they get into some more conference games. Both teams 6 conference games under their belt, but they're moving forward here and just trying to get in a rhythm. Miami has 3 games in 6 days. This span here after playing Wednesday, this is the second game. They'll play Syracuse on Monday. So it's a chance for Miami to get even closer to that top spot with Clemson, and Clemson faces Duke later today. So big slate of games, and kind of going back to that note I had with the ACC on the road games, just to show you how important it is. Again, road teams have only won 29% of the games in the conference play. And on Wednesday night, all 5 of the home teams in the conference games won those contests. So certainly winning on the road is difficult. I expect a difficult task for Miami. We will see how it goes. Once again, they were down 16 points in their first meeting, battled back for NC State and got the win, a 7-point win over the Wolfpack. Both teams are certainly going to be well aware of that. And I think that could play into the game regardless if one team's ahead. Even if they get up 8-10 points, I think the other team will certainly be aware and certainly stay confident. But for the Hurricanes, it's really important to do a lot of things that they've been doing well, including sharing the basketball. They had 20 assists on 32 made field goals on Wednesday night, and that's different than the way NC State has been playing, where they only had 7 assists the week before in their last game, and they're a team that can create their own shots. Miami can, particularly with Wong, but in general, they like to pass the ball and try to create some shots, get some guys opportunities by passing the ball. Certainly getting up court will be important as well in transition. Even though Miami struggled against the zone defense against Georgia Tech, I don't expect NC State to do that. I expect both teams to run man defense. I think you might see some full court pickups depending on how things are going to change the tempo of the game. I think that'll be something maybe NC State will throw in a zone just to throw Miami off if they get going a little bit. But here are my 3 keys to the game, looking at it here from a Miami standpoint. Number 1 is knocking down three-pointers, 12 of 18 in the win on Wednesday night. But they're 12th in the ACC in three-point shooting in conference games. They're shooting 33% on the season. Nigel Pack, to me, is the one to watch, shooting 35%, but he's shot over 40 each of the last 2 seasons. I think he has the ability to make more shots from long range. I think it's important because I think a guy like Isaiah Wong and Jordan Miller, although they're shooting better from 3 this year, it's not a high percentage, right around that 31% mark. So making threes is important. Wiggle Poplar can knock down threes. Bensley Joseph off the bench and Harlond Beverly as well. Those are the guys to watch for on a three-point standpoint. Make it difficult for Smith and Joyner in particular because I think these guys are going to play heavy minutes. Smith coming off a game where he had 39 minutes. Joyner averaging 34 in the season, dealt with some foul trouble. But I think both of those guys are going to be out there quite a bit as much as possible, and they're going to take their shots. So Miami's got to do a good job of making it hard on them. And certainly, as the game goes on, you'd like to be in a good position in the second half that those guys are not clicking and that they've had to work for all their shots that they've gotten. My 3rd key to the game for Miami is second chance points. Both of these teams average 11 offensive rebounds per game, and that ranks them in the top 4 in the ACC. Both teams will be looking to get second chance points. Coach Larranaga has mentioned recently that he'd like for his guards, particularly with Nigel Pack, to make sure you're getting rebounds. So I think getting to loose balls, getting offensive rebounds will be big. There's certainly some things that Miami's got to do well in terms of that standpoint. Their hustle plays and essentially those 50-50 kind of loose balls. Miami's certainly going to try to do their best to do that. Rebounding will be big, but I think that second chance points, particularly on the offensive end, look for Jordan Miller from Miami, gets a couple of those a game. So he's got a chance to get some putbacks, and he had a big performance last game. Just wrapping this thing up, 2 minutes away from game time. As you can see, the game is on Bally Sports Sun, also on the ACC Network Extra. You can flip it over there. A little bit of an injury update for both teams. From a Miami standpoint, freshman reserve forward AJ Casey has an injured right shoulder. He did that in practice in the last week or so. He missed Wednesday's game. He's considered day-to-day. I was at Tuesday's practice, and he did not practice in that one. He took shots left-handed, and we will see kind of a day-to-day thing if he'll play today. I think he's a key reserve for Miami because he's been playing pretty steady off the bench, and a team like this, I think that they would like to have that size, particularly with what DJ Burns brings for the Wolfpack off the bench with some obvious size and scoring ability, and he can certainly do damage against the Hurricanes. NC State's also dealing with injuries. As I mentioned, they've got 2 starters out. Dusan Mahorcic is still out, and he's not going to play, it looks like, as he's not in the starting lineup. We will see if he gets in there, but he's a key player for the Wolfpack, and once he's back to full health, I think they're going to be, once again, a really potent team in the ACC, but certainly still dangerous even without him. Also, another guy that's out is Jack Clark, a forward, once again, a starter, 6'8" guy that I thought could present Miami some troubles in that last beating, but he's not been playing as well. So both teams kind of dealing with not at full strength, and we will see how it goes moving forward. But it's a big game for the Miami Hurricanes and the NC State Wolfpack. I want to thank everybody for joining Hurricanes Game Day Live. This is the first one I've done. I look forward to doing more. If it's something you want, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you have not done so yet. I'm going to flip this off, and we can chat about the game on the live game thread on InsideTheU.com. Definitely check that website out, where I present a lot of articles and other content as well. But let's chat about the game over there. I look forward to chatting with you guys about the game. Definitely let me know what you think of this channel. on the comments below and the big game. So thanks again for watching. Bally Sports Sun and ACC Network up next with